Tonight. Yo, 1 2 1 2. We are in the building. Snuck up on you once again. It's me, myself, and it's my partner in crime over there, my co-D, Yada Bear. It's all right. It's okay. We'll get him another day. Philadelphia Eagles still repping in the house heavy. Down in sports, we just gonna talk about some things for a few minutes. We ain't stretching it out. This ain't no real official show. We just want to jump in, talk about our thoughts about after Super Bowl 57 and what we thought, and a couple of other things before we get up out of here. But first, before we get into that, um, rest in peace, man. To my man, one of my favorites from one of my all time favorite groups. If you know me, you know I De La Soul all day. David Jalicoeur, known as True Goy the Dove, known as Dave, passed away yesterday. The details aren't out, but again, we're going to get into that a little bit as we talk here for a few minutes. But we're here to talk about the Super Bowl, and there's no other better person that can talk about the Super Bowl is my esteemed co-D over there in the building, Yada Bear. Give it up for Yada Bear, y'all. Let's give it up for Yada Bear. All right.
Oh, wow. It's funny because, I heard some people was, looking for me to make
Yeah,
sure that I was okay. I'm
yeah.
still alive and well. I'm fine. I will always be right here, live with you guys, no matter the outcome of any game. As you see in my tagline, it's still fly equals fly. It's funny how when the Eagles lose, all of a sudden you have all of these extra Chiefs fans, via
Uh-oh.
other teams that come out the woodwork to you know, throw a little shade and throw hate on the squad that was in the Super Bowl. But it's crazy because your squad was at home watching and tweeting about the Super Bowl. It's
Eating potato chips.
eating chips and dips and things like that. So that always shocks me and I love it. Give it, give me more of it. Because that all thing that does to the team is just give them more motivation. You know, I love seeing people hate when they teams haven't been in the Super Bowl since I was a child. I was still in school
Mm.
when those teams was in the Super Bowl. Or it's been, you know, decades, since certain people retired, then their team was in the Super Bowl. But when we look at the present facts, of the last 10 years, none of those teams are on that list. My team is on that list,
Mm-mm.
you know,
Talk your shit.
twice with one victory. But that's the past. Let's talk about the game. The game was great. I mean, it was a really competitive game overall. They both gave us what we knew that they were going to give us. Um, the offense on both sides was crazy. You know, 24 points at halftime, going into halftime, knuckle up at 24 apiece is crazy. But at the end, halftime was over. Second half came. The Chiefs made adjustments. What we seen in the second half was a veteran coaching staff making the proper adjustments. Um, what I saw from my Eagles in the second half was no adjustments on the defensive side. My defense stayed at home.
Mm.
They wasn't the dogs that we are used to seeing. We didn't really get any pressure on Patrick like that. We didn't sack him at all. The Chiefs' offensive line definitely held up. They played a hell of a game. Um, Overall, it was a good game. I can accept defeat. I'm not a sore loser. At the end of the day, they won and we didn't. Even though there was a couple of questionable calls, that was thrown out there. And I have to point this out too. that Arizona field was
Yeah,
crap.
yeah,
Was crap. Like even if we
yeah.
would have won the game, I would still make that point that the field was terrible. You know, you had guys slipping
All over,
all through
all day
the first
long,
quarter,
all game long.
all through the
Absolutely.
first half. You had multiple players changing out their cleats. Like on the Eagles side, they had a pile of cleats on the other side that they just kept changing out their footwear because they couldn't get a grip on the actual field. And then after the halftime show, the field was even worse. I kind of feel like the NFL may consider having the halftime show maybe at a different venue, not on the field, maybe
That's
in
the
the parking
idea.
lot. I mean, most of the Super Bowls, like especially when you have a warm weather Super Bowl, you know, when we in that city, you can have it like maybe outside because something about when they putting the stage up and breaking it down, it just makes the field even worse. And
Right.
that field in Arizona was bad. I know in the beginning of the season when the Chiefs played the Cardinals there, the Chiefs was already complaining about the field in the first game, and
Hmm.
they didn't address it. Which I'm shocked that the league didn't make sure that the field was properly
Was it that
tended.
their first game of the season when they played Arizona?
Yeah, they complained about the field. The Chiefs um number one concern was the field, and people were sliding around out there
Hmm.
too. Um, so I was kind of shocked that the NFL didn't, you know, take proper precaution and to make sure that the field was in tip top shape for the biggest game of the year.
And
But
the fact that they had George Toma, who is the the field guy. He's the guy. He's been dealing with all the field surfaces from
yeah,
when I was a kid, right? He was the
yeah,
guy that, you know what I mean, and knew took care of all the fields and got them ready for the games from the Super Bowls and baseball, World Series, all of that stuff. So, and I think that this was his last game, and to
well,
go out like that,
it
man, that
wasn't a
I
good
mean,
showing.
yeah, because he always got a lot of notoriety for how the field was maintained and things of that nature. But yeah, yo, that field was terrible. And the fact of the matter that they in that particular stadium, they roll the field out. The field is like basically on trays, like they roll it
Yeah,
outside for it to get sun. Like it's crazy.
it's a
It's
it's a little weird. And
yeah,
that's
it's a
why
lot weird.
I feel like stadiums should have natural grass.
Should be stadiums, right? Absolutely. And
Should
I
have
think that's
natural
a dope
grass.
idea. That's a dope idea that you said about having the Super Bowl halftime show outside or in another
Yeah,
venue or something. You know
yeah,
what I
because
mean?
it's tearing up the field.
Yeah.
It's tearing up the field. Um, I always think the Super Bowl halftime show is way too long. It's
That's another
half
thing.
a
Yep.
half an hour.
Yep.
It's like you starting the game over from scratch. You know,
Yep. Basically.
a half an hour is way too long. I've been um talking about that for years. That I enjoy the halftime. I think yeah, it's cool to have a big time artist performing, but
Basically a free concert.
yeah, a free concert in the middle of the football game, but it's like a half an hour is too
Right.
long for the players.
Right.
And if you want to go watch the halftime show, then be at the venue. You could be outside,
Right.
and
Or
then
they
you
can
can
show it
have
on
a
the screen in the
show.
stadium
Yeah, show it on the screen, and then you can have a regular halftime so that the teams can come back
at
and go
a
back into their
regular
routine.
time, like they regularly do, right?
Yeah. So that right there is a little crazy, but like I said, the game was good. You know, my birds, we got outplayed in the second half. I mean, 24 points in the second half is uncalled for. It's ridiculous. Jonathan Gannon, he showed up with that soft zone defense. And that's what they did. They just picked us apart in the zone. And we just couldn't make any adjustments. Andy knows this defense, and Andy Reid was able to expose it.
Mm-hmm.
and he did. Um, Jalen Hurts, he had a great. I want to say great. He had a really good Super Bowl. Okay, he fumbled, you know, but he was able to bounce back from that and still put up 35 points. He didn't let
Mm-hmm.
that bring him down. He wasn't the reason why we lost. You know, AJ Brown stepped up. Devontae Smith had a good game. Dallas Gollin made a couple great catches when we needed
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Shane Shane Steichen did a good job calling plays. They was very aggressive in the first half. I love that going for fourth down, you know, all those times, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just it's the second half. That's why it's two halves in the football game. That's why it's two halves. And like I said, we didn't show up for that second half. Patrick Mahomes had a great game too. This right here is gonna put him on the cups of they're gonna compare this to like the Michael Jordan flu game because his ankle, the Paul Pierce wheelchair game, because he was out there battling with a high ankle sprain. It got touched in the game. He was limping off. You could clearly see that he was in pain on the sideline, and he was able to overcome that and get his team in field goal position, even though that holding call, it's kind of questionable to call that play at that time of the game. Even when the ball was overthrown, it was an uncatchable
He
ball.
wasn't gonna catch that. That's
Yeah,
right.
so
He wasn't gonna catch that at all.
it was very questionable for them to throw that flag out. But again, I'm not going to make no excuse about use the refs as an excuse because we put ourselves in that position so
Mm.
that a call like that could affect the outcome of the game for us.
Mm.
So all the accountability is on the Eagles side, especially on the defense side. Like I said, they didn't show up. Gannon game plan was it didn't work. He didn't make any type of adjustments, and it is what it is. Only thing we could do, sit back, wait for next season, and see what changes is going to be made because we have a lot of free agents that's on the defensive side. So I'm expecting the defensive side of our team to look very different, as well as our coaching staff.
Mm.
Because Shane, he most likely is out of here, going to be the head coach
The
of the
Colts,
Colts.
right? Right.
Yep. And Jonathan Gannon is still in Arizona talking with the Cardinals. So it's possible that he is going to be going too. And I'm not, mad at that because in the beginning of the season, you know, some of our faithful viewers has recalled one of my questions for this season was Jonathan Gannon
Mm-hmm.
in his defensive play calling has always been in question, and it was kind of people was blind because we was winning, and everybody was hype about the sacks, and the picks. But at the end of the day, when you really look at the scheme, it was like, well, the scheme with the people that we had wasn't really working. Um, Khalil White, like he was just out of position the whole game. Same thing with TJ. I was like these guys were just like out of position in the linebacker spot, which is always one of our trouble zones. And we thought that we had it under control with bringing in Khalil White and TJ, but I guess we was wrong. And I'm surprised that at the end of the day, they didn't put N'Kobe Dean out there. I mean, you draft this guy. We know he's a stout linebacker. This is the last game of the season. There's no tomorrow. So if you see that Kazir is out there getting trashed, out of position, maybe throw the kid in and see if he can spark something in the defense. You never know because right now what you have out there is not working. But again, Jonathan decided not to make any type of substitutions, any type of changes, and he just rocked with the defense that he'd been calling all year, and it wasn't good enough against a veteran coach and staff in the Kansas City Chiefs. They've been doing this for years. They've been together for years. They've been to multiple Super Bowls together, and to have Andy Reid on the sideline, who is very familiar with the defense that we are running, of course he was able to pick it apart. Kind of reminding me of when the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers played the Raiders with
Or
John Gruden as the coach.
the whiplash Super Bowl.
Yeah, with John Gruden as the coach. Of course he's
Right.
gonna know what the Raiders are running because that's his offense. They're still running his offense. So when I saw that in the second half, I said, well, of course Andy Reid's going to make his adjustments because he knows this defense. He's seen this defense for many years. But like I said, it's over. The game is over. Congratulations to all the real true Chiefs fans. Y'all did what you're supposed to do. Came out with the victory. And hopefully maybe next year we'll see y'all back, in the Super Bowl. But how you feel about the game last night?
Um, I think that it started off as it was supposed to start off. You got two the top teams in the league doing their thing. I think Jalen Hurts did what he had to do. Got 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Jalen giveth, Jalen taketh away. I think that play right there turned the whole game around. I think the Eagles are on their way to winning the game at that point until that situation happened. That punt return, the low punt, that's going to happen to you. Because as soon as I saw him with those bunch of Eagles guys, and if he gets to the other side of the field, he's out. So again, those type of things. Again, when you're going up against, Andy Reid, and those guys who have the personnel to make those plays happen. The last touchdown when the guy went in motion? Was it Tony went in motion? And then, I think it was big play Slay followed him across the field, assuming that he was going to go, in motion across the field. The homie just did the little, the okey doke and was wide open. And we talked about that before the game. How do those receivers get so wide open? Even though, Mahomes is scrambling around, they don't know where he's going, but there's a little pocket in the middle of the field that he always seems to find a guy. It might be Kelsey. It might be Edwards-Helaire. It might be Valdez-Scalding. It might be any of those guys, but he finds them. You know what I mean? And we talked yesterday about how that secondary of Kansas City's may be exposed a little bit. You saw A.J. Brown do some things. You saw Devontae Smith do some things. But again, you have to, put the hammer down. When you have a chance to go into this game and come out, Super Bowl champions, nobody probably expected that Philadelphia would be up 24-14 at halftime. So again, I'm not going to say, the halftime show, the longevity of that. They knew that going in. All right. It just happened to be that I think Kansas City, like you said earlier, they decided to kind of like fix what was broken. You know what I mean? And the Eagles are like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and
you know what I'm saying?
That wasn't the way to go.
And again, we saw what happened. But I think that certain plays and certain games absolutely cause teams to lose. People are too polite. Let me dig in my bag for a second. Right? I don't care what you tell me about, oh, well, so-and-so made a bad call and the game, the game rode on that particular call and that play didn't happen or whatever. Yes, other plays in the game happened or did not happen, but that didn't lead up to you dropping the ball when we need a touchdown or you getting that false start when we need discipline. You know what I mean? So again,
you're talking about Quez Watkins. If y'all don't,
I'm talking about that. You know what I mean? And if you want to talk, if you want to stay in your lane in regards to what happens in the first quarter affects what happens in the fourth. Well, why didn't they call that head-to-head helmet that head-to-head call? That was absolutely a call that should have been made. They didn't call that. Okay, so if they would have called that, would we have a different flow to the game, right? If Quez Watkins would have caught that pass, when we
Yeah,
have a different flow to if Jalen Hurts didn't fumble and get returned for a touchdown, you know what I
exactly.
mean? I don't think the Eagles would have been in a position to have to punt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So one thing does affect the other.
Mm-hmm.
So again, people are too nice when they always say that nonsense about, well, that did, oh, we can't blame it on this guy. Oh, yes, you can blame it on Osai, number 58 for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not even a Bengals fan. I remember that dude cost them a trip to the joint. It should have been them
Yeah.
playing. So you're gonna tell me that wasn't the reason why they wasn't playing against the Eagles in the Super Bowl instead of Kansas City? I don't care. I'm not going to be polite. It is what it is, because at the end of the day, that play that you talk about in the first quarter that didn't affect the outcome of the game, yes, it absolutely did. That man, and I'm still talking about it because I'm hot, because those things happen that you put your whole season. You got the game in hand. This dude runs and makes a play that just kind of like takes everything away from you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can see how it affected him. He already knew what it was. His mans and them try to console him. Okay, it's going to be all right. No, it ain't going to be all right. But you got to say what you got to say. You know what I mean? I get it. But at the end of the day, like you said earlier in the show, they still at home making queso and what's the other stuff? The guacamole.
Like in queso and guacamole.
You know what I mean? They home watching the game because they man wasn't disciplined enough to pull up. He had to be the tough guy and knock dude
Mm-hmm.
out when he was already out of bounds.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's
So
gonna get
you
that
get,
call all the time.
yeah, every day, twice on Sunday. You heard?
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that things happen, and people need to show a little bit more emotion about how they really feel, because a lot of money's on the line, people's jobs on the line, and to go and stick a microphone in somebody's face after they just lost the game in a horrible way is kind of like, it's bad on both sides. You know what I mean? So again, it's all good when you're talking to the winner. They
Yeah.
making angels and on the floor and got confetti in the eye and all that. It's good. It's good. But nobody wants
It's
the
lovely.
microphones. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nobody
Especially if
want that
you
mic when
lose
you
it.
lose.
Right. Absolutely. So that was that. But it was a great game. Absolutely. Was it one of the best Super Bowls I've ever seen in my life? No. And I heard people talk, oh, that was one of the best games I've ever seen in my life. How old are you? 5 years old?
I mean, it was highly competitive. I
Yeah,
guess they're
absolutely.
saying that because it was a
Like
lot
it's
of
supposed to be.
scoring.
Right.
Everybody loves touchdowns. Everybody
Right.
loves touchdowns. It's like everybody loves home runs. So,
Right. Big plays.
um,
Right.
yeah. So when both teams are making big plays and running up the scoreboard, yeah, they're going to say, well, this is the best game. Nobody wants to see a blowout.
Right.
Especially when you're supposed to be the two best teams from their
Mm-hmm.
respective divisions. Nobody want to see a blowout like
Right.
Super Bowls of the past, or nobody
And
wants to see a low scoring Super Bowl when nobody can score a touchdown. It's all
right.
field goals. Nobody ain't trying to see
Right,
that.
like that Rams Patriots mess from a couple years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
nobody want to see that.
yeah, and the reason why I bring that up, this is down in Sports Talk, man. We just talking about after the Super Bowl, we in the building. Check us out. Smash that subscribe button, hit that like button. We feel y'all. Um, yeah. So my thing is this: I'm just feeling like, there are a lot of Super Bowls that don't get mentioned. Um, Tennessee and the Rams. That was a great game. That ended was an all-time classic.
Yeah.
Giants and the Buffalo Bills. The one with Whitney saying the national anthem, "Rest in Peace."
Okay, I'm about to say which one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot of, and
Yeah.
these guys, man, they're supposed to know. They be mentioning like the stuff that happened yesterday. Like, this is the greatest Super Bowl I ever seen in my life. Like, word, word.
They like to bring up things, in the
Yeah, I
present.
mean, I
They don't
guess,
like to go
man.
too far in the
I guess.
past.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
yeah.
So 2022 season has now come to an end. It's over. You have your
Yep.
Super Bowl champion. Now we could start talking about, get ready for the draft. This is the part that kills me. They can't even get the size for their Super Bowl rings, and now they talk about the draft.
Go straight to the
Um,
draft.
go straight to the draft. But over here down in Sports Talk, football is officially over. It's kaput. Is over with. We will
Until the
probably talk
draft.
about the USFL a little bit, the XFL a little bit. You know what I mean? Got to talk about that
Yeah,
a little bit. You know what I
a
mean?
little bit.
Yeah, but we're going to give hockey some more play. We're going to give basketball definitely some more play. Absolutely. And plus, you already know
Oh,
baseball season, pitches and catches is less than 80 days of pitches and catches. So you already know
speaking
what it
of
is.
speaking of baseball,
Uh huh.
did you see that your man um Nestor Cortez is out in the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, he wanted to do his thing, but I guess, man.
He
And Severino,
Yes.
they're not gonna let Severino pitch either, and I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, man, listen. You work for the Yankees. I understand you want to pitch for your country and all that, but listen, you ain't even really around long enough to pitch for us. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying?
like to me, that's like another topic because when I look at the rosters of like each countries and there's so many stars,
Yep.
like it's like, well, wow, like
You
how
said Dominican. You said the Dominican team.
it's like an all-star team. When I saw that team, I said, well, who's gonna beat that team? You
That's like a
know?
softball team, and then
Yeah.
don't sleep on the Japanese team.
No, but like my thought is like, all right, well, a lot of players is like superstar players on this team, and it's like,
Right.
well, how does the owners feel about their stars playing in this other tournament, potentially getting hurt and jeopardizing, their regular season? You
Yeah.
know,
I
even
mean,
though I
that's the
know
stuff
that
you
this
got to
don't come
consider.
around, yeah, it only come around, every couple of years, but it's
Right.
still like it's like the Olympics. When I think about the Olympics and especially with the basketball side of things, it's like, well, do you really want like Curry going out to play or LeBron going over there to play or our young stars now? Like you want Ja Morant over there, you want Zion Williamson over there playing, and it's like, well, what if they get hurt and then come regular season, you know, they not on the court. And then with the
Yeah.
World Baseball Classic, it's like, well, what if Trey Thomas go out there and lets me know he got an ankle injury? We
Yep. And
just
he ain't
signed
out
this
for
guy
three
to this
games. He
big
out for 2 months. Right.
yeah, we just signed this guy to this big contract, and now he can't
Yeah.
play for us because he's out there playing in this tournament,
He's
and
playing
now
for
he's
he's
hurt.
playing for Great Britain, right?
No, I think he's playing for USA.
You talk about Trace Thompson.
No, Trey Turner.
Oh, Trey Turner. I thought you said
Yeah,
Trace
Trey
Thompson.
Turner.
I'm sorry, my
No,
bad.
yeah, Trey Turner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we just signed him to
Hmm.
a big money contract. So I'm like, I don't know if I really want to see him out there playing. And next thing you know, he comes up, he goes in to steal the base, or he go out for a ground ball that's kind of out of his reach, and he pulls hamstring or something like that, and now he's out. So that's just something that always popped in my mind, especially when I saw the news that Nestor was out of the classic. But
Yeah.
that's
I
food
mean,
for thought.
it is what it is. We in the building, man. We just wanted to come in, slide in and out real quick, man. Topping up about Super Bowl and things of that nature. But we'll be back Tuesday night. You already know the vibes. You know what it is. Left handed right here at RM. That's on Twitter, and that's Yada Bear over there. You know what I mean?
Always,
Check us
always
out. We in the
Eagles.
building. What happened?
I said always will be an Eagles fan. It will still be
Always.
Eagles. Like I said, I don't care what none of y'all saying. Y'all was at home watching the game with your little fake Chiefs jersey on.
Uh oh.
All your little fake Chief fans out the woodwork. Oh, oh, is y'all okay? Oh, we smoking on that Eagles pack. Please
Right.
smoke on it. Smoke on the Eagles pack because that green is grade A. Okay.
Uh-oh. Talk
All
your
right.
ish.
We
All
don't
right
got none
now.
of that
That's what it
Reggie.
is.
That's that grade A Eagles pack. Enjoy it because
That's what it
unlike
is,
some of
man.
y'all, we'll probably be back next year. Some of you guys are still waiting, dusting off those VHS tapes, looking at those
Uh-oh.
highlights. Okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
We in the building, man. Down at Sportstalk, man. Tuesday nights, 8 to 9. All right. Left-handed Yada Bear. Check us out.
Like and
Hit that.
subscribe.
Yes. Like and subscribe. Smash that. Smash it like you mad at it. Smash it like you lost money last night. Smash it.
Yes, and
You know what I
please
mean?
keep bringing in the hate. I
Yeah, I
enjoy it
mean,
because that means you're
you know what it
watching.
is. We're in the building. So salute. Salute to the subscribers. Salute to everybody on the Facebook group. All right. We rock on Twitter. And that's basically it. We in the building. We'll talk to y'all Tuesday. All right. De La Soul, from the soul.